Film starts with Jack in a cab on the way to his dad's house. He's a 17-year-old boy. He spends his holiday at his father's house. Jack and his father don't have a healthy father-son relationship. During their initial chat, it's clear that the father and son don't get along and that the boy's uncle forced him to spend his holiday with his father. Jack's dad tries to make him apologize and get along with him, but Jack ignores him. David abandons Jack and lets him settle in. The next day, Jack sits by his window when he spots a woman in the front garden. He then came down and quietly looked at the girl at that exact moment. When his father approaches him and introduces the girl as Maria, she is his maid. When he sees Jack looking at her, he teases him that he hired her for her beauty. Before leaving for his appointment, he introduces Maria to Jack and instructs him to call her for help. Maria pours Jack a drink and discusses his father. Jack tells her they're not close. Maria sympathizes with him and asks him if he's close with his mother, but Jack shouts at her and leaves. Maria instantly apologizes after realizing she's touched a nerve. She genuinely asks Jack if she had said something wrong, and Jack moodily reveals that his mom is not around before leaving with his camera. Later, he looks through some of the photos he took when Maria walks in to tell him that she's leaving. He apologizes for snapping at her and talks about his mother's death during childbirth and his awful relationship with his stepmother. Maria listens and feels empathetic, but she leaves when Jack blames himself for his mother's death. Jack refuses David's dinner invitation the next day. David advises him to act his age, which angers Jack, who curses and tells him to leave. Later, while taking pictures, Jack is approached by a beautiful girl named Becky, who offers to hang out, but he refuses and follows Maria instead. He hides, pictures Maria reading a book, and then follows her into the kitchen. Maria asks about Becky, but he says teenage girls are immature. She happily comments about him spending his 18 birthdays with his dad. Jack becomes angry, abuses his dad, and walks out of the kitchen, leaving Maria confused. She says sorry again, but Jack says he's unhappy with his dad. He also talks about his relationship with his dad and how his maternal uncle is a better father. Maria sympathizes with him and suggests she may have experienced a similar experience. Jack confronts her about it and says she has awful parents and lost someone close, but she doesn't expand. Jack asks Maria to teach him French and she agrees. Jack gives Maria a photo of his mother after lunch and says she resembles her. Maria asks Jack how he'd want to spend his birthday as their talk turned depressing. His birthday causes another breakdown. Jack tells Maria he hates his birthday because he feels terrible about his mother's death and becomes unhappy every year. Jack consoles Maria, and she tells him who she lost. Maria opens up cautiously at first. She tells Jack how when she was 16, she fell in love with a boy and became pregnant, and how he abandoned her, leaving her to face her parents alone. Her religious parents were shocked but allowed her to have the baby, who was taken away from her and not allowed to live with her. She felt awful for abandoning her baby boy and couldn't look for him. She mourned her son's death and blamed herself, much like Jack. Jack was about to comfort her when his dad told him he had to go to Paris for a business conference. Again, Jack's father puts work before him, causing another confrontation. Maria invites Jack to dinner, but he refuses. Maria questions Jack about his father, and Jack tells her he's always been a workaholic and that his stepmother was pleased to push him aside when her son arrived. Jack appreciates Maria's advice, but doesn't appear ready to implement it. The next day, Maria meets her ex-boyfriend Jacob on her way back to Jack's residence. They discuss their current and former relationships over coffee. Jack hears Jacob talking about marriage and how he still loves Maria. Jack's angry, but he keeps listening to Jacob to try to reunite Maria. When Maria doesn't respond, Jacob asks her to call before leaving. Jack has started to feel more than a friendly affection for Maria. When she gently wishes him a happy birthday, he requests a gift. She feels bad about not buying him anything and proceeds to get him whatever he wants, as long as it's not too pricey. He demands her to be his birthday present. She initially thinks he's joking, but he gets more persistent, saying they're connected. Maria says he's just a teenager with misplaced feelings. She tells him she was only being friendly and didn't like him. Maria snaps at Jack when he accuses her of still loving Jacob. He accuses her of not caring about him and pretending to understand him. Maria assures him that she cares, just not how he desires. He declares his love for Maria, leaving her speechless. He tries to touch her, but she slaps him. At that moment, someone rings the doorbell. Maria goes to open the door and sees Becky. Asks Jack to hang out with her. Jack agrees to escape Maria. Becky asks Jack to return to her house since her parents aren't there. He almost accepts her offer, but he rejects it and leaves. When he arrives home, he discovers Maria drinking alone and crying, hinting that Jack's leaving harmed her. Jack sees Maria's vulnerability and encourages her to accept his feelings. Then she leaves. Maria tries to make Jack understand that there's no future with her and that their age difference is too bad, but this only makes him angrier. He says she'll abandon him like her baby. Maria is horrified to hear him use her weakness like that, but when that doesn't work, he attempts to guilt trip her by asking whether she would be glad if he disappeared and killed himself. But that somehow gets to Maria, who's finally willing to get intimate with him. After getting personal, Maria talks about Jack's father and how she would give him another chance. He promises to make up with his dad before he goes. Maria's making lunch for David when Jack approaches behind her and starts kissing her. They stop when they hear David's voice. David wishes Jack a happy birthday, offers him a gift, and invites him to dinner, but he declines. Maria keeps talking to Jack even if David's done with him. She convinces him to stay with his dad by offering to spend the next day with him. Over cocktails, Jack tells his dad all he wanted to say. Jack's dad is shocked to learn that Jack blames himself for his mother's death. He remarried so soon so that Jack wouldn't grow up without a mother. He asks for a second chance to make up for his mistake, and Jack seems willing to give it a shot. Jack catches Maria at the entrance the next day and asks that she skip work and spend the day with him since she's returning to the US tomorrow. Maria nervously skips work so that they can spend the day together. Maria later takes Jack back to her place where they're being amorous when Maria suddenly breaks down. Maria lied to Jack and felt awful. She said that when her son was a child, he was killed in a car accident and began to cry. Jack tells her to let go of the past, as she told him. They sleep together. Now that vacations are over, Jack must return to school. He entered the room and gathered his belongings. Before leaving, he hugged and kissed Maria, and leaves as David picks up his luggage. Jack and David's relationship had changed significantly. Jack is willing to give David another chance as they hug. In the final scene, Maria later apologized to her mother. She, too, had a secondary opportunity at the family when it turns out she's pregnant with Jack's child. We know Jack's relationship with Maria had resulted in the pregnancy. The movie ends with this scene. That was all from this video. Hope you liked it. Subscribe for more content like this and hit the like button to help us out. Also leave a comment if you want us to recap your favorite movie. Until next time, take care.